The chapter begins with a man standing on stage, giving a speech to the people of Wano. He proclaims, "Dark clouds gather, a storm echoes through the sky, consuming Onigashima. The roar of the azure dragon and the howls of countless other beasts join the cacophony. At Habu Port, the scattered leaves of fall are bleached and burned in the pattering rain. The stage is set for a tale of duty and honor. This is the story of the royal retainers and their quest to let Kozuki Oden's name shine once more. Many hardships lie in wait, but they remain resolute to meet their fate as the evening of the fire festival starts to unfold." The scene shifts to a forest near Tokaj Port Udon, where Momo exclaims, "What? You're not heading to sea?" Yamato replies, "I am staying. I have already spoken to Luffy and the others about it." Kinemon asks, "Are you truly content with this, Yamato?" Yamato replies, "Aren't I welcome here?" Momo says, "You are. We are just confused. A moment ago you said you had made up your mind." Yamato replies, "Oh, that... Well, Oden started his journey with a tour of Wano, right? I realize there's so much out there that I don't understand, but I am sure that I will find my way if I follow in his footsteps. I am bound to make it out to sea sooner or later." Momo exclaims, "Unbelievable. You were able to tell them about all this." Momo becomes furious and says, "That does it! They must have intentionally snubbed me. Why bid farewell to everyone but us?" Then Momo remembers the words of Kaido. "Your name? Your father was a fool of a lord." He also recalls Luffy's words, "Identify yourself. I am Luffy." As he sees Luffy, he bites him on the head, and Luffy retorts, "So what if you are a warrior? I am gonna be the king of pirates one day, so there." Momo replies, "Oh yeah? Well, one day I will be anointed shogun of Wano, so take that, you half-wit." Luffy responds, "Big talk for an eel." Momo fires back, "You are nothing but an ignorant ape." Another scene shows Momo crying, and Luffy angrily says, "What are you, Momo, just a crybaby? Are you just gonna stand there and cry?" Crying Momo replies with pride, "I want to beat Kaido." Luffy smiles and says, "All right, then let's team up. It's an alliance." He then remembers another scene where he was captured, and Luffy said to him, "That's the spirit, Momo. You may be a cowardly, jumped-up, top-knotted brat, but you are right. Find a way to survive. We'll have your back. Don't forget we are friends." He also recalls another scene where Kaido says, "I'll ask you one more time, boy. What is your name?" And Momo proudly replies, "Kozuki Momosuke, the man who will be the shogun of Wano." He remembers yet another scene where Luffy says, "Go, you can fly. Stop Onigashima in its tracks." And Luffy declares, "I will definitely beat Kaido." Before we move forward, if you're interested in watching more manga videos, you can check out my second channel. The link is in the description below, and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any updates. The scene shifts back to the present, and Momo says, "We may not have always gotten along, but we went through a lot together. Is he really that heartless? I was wrong about you, Luffy. You're my friend. Is he mistaking being free with free to be rude? Am I wrong, Kinemon?" Kinemon replies, "Not at all. By the way, Momosuke-sama, is there a reason we aren't flying?" Momo says, "Quiet." Kinemon then says, "Momosuke-sama, you are the undisputed shogun of Wano now. Depending on Luffy's word, I may have no choice but to cleave him apart for this slight." Momo replies, "Exactly. That is the way of the samurai. I thought we were friends, Luffy." Yamato says, "I think you are blowing this out of proportion." Momo says, "He humiliated us. Overlooking him without giving him a few blows and bites is out of the question." The scene shifts to Tokaj Port, Udon, where Law says, "Remember, the next time we meet it will be as enemies. Don't whine to me. We are shooting to kill." Luffy says, "Got it." Chopper adds, "See you around, Trafalgar." And Captain Kidd orders to set sail. All the crew of the Straw Hats were standing and ready to say farewell to Wano. Suddenly, Momo enters with rage, his mouth wide open, and he says, "You monsters!" Yamato happily says, "Hey, we have come to see you off." The Straw Hats are surprised to see them. Momo, in a fit of anger, heads directly towards Luffy. Luffy gets choked. Before Momo could hit Luffy, Yamato kicks him and throws him towards the land. Kinemon rages and says, "Luffy, you bastard! What is the meaning of this outrage? How can you abandon the two comrades you have known the longest without a word? You have angered the shogun. What do you have to say for yourself?" Luffy, confused, says, "What's the big deal? We are meeting now, aren't we?" Momo rages and says, "Luffy, this is an edict from the shogun." Suddenly he starts crying and says, "Please don't leave. I will be so lonely. I want to be with you forever. It can't end like this." Luffy is shocked, and Kinemon is also confused. Momo continues, "I only managed to survive because you were there. You are the reason I can laugh again. Thank you so much for avenging my father and my mother. You see, I can't even express myself properly now. I am scared of what happens next. Please don't go. Zoro says, that's quite the pitiful sight. Nami gets emotional and says, cut him a break. He is still a little kid on the inside. Luffy orders Usopp to set sail as they were leaving. Momo was crying continuously. Luffy gives him a ship's flag and says, we have been waiting here all this time because I wanted to give you this. Even if you are a bit bigger now, I know that you are still like a little kid on the inside. You are a small, weak samurai, but I think of you like a little brother. Momo is confused and asks, this is a flag? Luffy replies, when times are tough, look at it and remember your seafaring adventures. Hang it up somewhere in Wano. If any major bad news comes knocking, just point them to it. As Luffy stands on his ship, he continues, it will let them know that screwing with our friends is the same as screwing with us. Momo, crying, says, does that mean I am one of you? Then Luffy moves back to his ship and says, Kinemon, Yamato, Momo, if any of you ever want to be pirates, I will come for you right away. Just remember, I won't have any weaklings on board. As they leave, Momo bows to them in gratitude, and Luffy continues, take care of them, Yamato. Keep it together, Shogun. Good luck, Momo. And then Luffy orders, let's go. Momo says to Kinemon, mark my words, someday I will surpass Kozuki Oden. Kinemon replies, I will be by your side when you do. Yamato teases him and says, you're talking about me? He rages and replies, no. The scene shifts to the Straw Hat's ship, where Nami says, all right, let's set course for Hakimai. The main port is there. I was told there's a lift that can lower ships down. Brook says, I thought since we scaled a waterfall to get here, we would have to fall down it to leave. Chopper adds, me too, thank goodness. As they are leaving, Captain Kidd says, that makes sense. You guys would use the main port. It's the safe and sound way after all. Perfect for you wusses. Safe and sound. The words of Captain Kidd make Law and Luffy angry and look weak. Nami says, no, Luffy, being safe is good. Don't let him get to you, Jinbei. Give help, Luffy. Don't. On Law's ship, Beppo says, hang on, Captain. What's with that face? We all think the main port is better. But the three captains make their decision and use the dangerous sway to get down as usual. The person giving the speech continues, the might of the outlaws recruited by Lord Momonosuke and Kinemon made them real-life wisdom kings. Their power descended like a wrathful tsunami, obliterating all in its path. Even Kaido, the Dragon King, and the yokai-possessed giant Oiran failed to withstand their assault. The heavens themselves were torn, and passionate shrieks reverberated through the air. During that chaos, Princess Hiyori was accosted by Orochi, the snake that seemingly perished in the flames in a desperate last-ditch attempt for his spiteful vengeance. His gambit was thwarted by a single slash, and who owns the blade that severed Orochi from his final cursed head? Why, none other than Kozuki Oden's second disciple Denjiro. With his last breath detached and burning, the twisted Kurozumi was at long last brought to his knees, and then a flash of lightning marked the fall of Onigashima, and with it, the fall of the Dragon King, Kaido. The sun had finally pierced the dark clouds that were suffocating Wano for 20 long years. The skies were cleared. Sounds from the ignorant masses celebrating the fire festival in the capital crept into their ears. Then suddenly, defying all reason, the burning remains of Orochi spoke. But Princess Hiyori refused to flinch or shudder. She held her gaze. The country's 20 years of torturous memories fueled her heart. And now, time slides ahead to the day after the festival, where feuds and weapons can finally rest. A shocking truth is revealed at the port where the reversed crescent moon met. The denouement of this violent saga is a joyous reunion. The blood split in order to revive this clan will never be forgotten. A record of their sacrifices will always be carried by the wind. That concludes today's tale on our nation's renowned samurai and how they miraculously returned to us. With that, I think a well-earned break is in order till we meet again. Farewell. And then the curtain of Wano is closed, and finally, the Wano arc ends, and the chapter